Hey guys, welcome to today's lesson. Today we're going to be looking at how to use your calculator with trigonometry. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about first of all. That's about having your calculator in the correct mode. And then we're going to do some fairly straightforward, simple calculations, plus a few extra ones for the 5.3 boys. First of all, your calculator needs to be in the degrees mode. That's super important. As you can see in my calculator up in that top part of the screen there, you can just sort of see the little D there. A little bit hard to see. If you can't see it, press Shift and Mode and just make sure you press number 3. That's degrees. You might have a little R there. R is called radians. We use it for high level trigonometry. We don't want to use it for our trigonometry because we'll get an incorrect answer. So press number 3. You should now have a little D at the top of your screen. Really important, if you ever reset your calculator, make sure you are in degrees. Otherwise, all your calculations will not be correct. Number 1. Okay, so double check that. Number 2, we're just going to be doing some things with degrees. Now, first of all, we're going to be looking at things such as typing in sine 30 degrees into our calculator. Now, in this case, you can see on my screen, I'm going to press the sine button. You can do cos or tan, depending on the question. I'm going to simply type in 30. Now, we do have a little degrees button, of course, that we can press. That little degrees button kind of looks like that little bubble button that you can see on the screen here. You can see my little arrow there is pointing to the bubble button. That means degrees. I can close the brackets. Now, you don't really need to press that, except if you have a question that has degrees, minutes, and seconds. Now, that I'll kind of talk about a little bit later on. I'm now going to press equals. Okay, generally speaking, you don't even need to really close the brackets. If I simply said sine 30 and just pressed equals, it's still going to give me the same answer. We can see the answer is 0.5 for this question. So today it's just about how to do these calculations, because when next lesson we start to bring the whole part of trigonometry into sides and angles, we need to be able to use our calculator effectively. The next one we could look at, okay, and I'll give you an opportunity shortly to have a crack at some questions. We'll do cos 40 degrees. So again, on my calculator there, I'm going to press cos. I'm going to type in 40. You can press degrees if you want, or the bracket. I'm not going to bother. I'm going to press equals. We get 0.7660 ... Now, you might be asked to do some rounding. So, for example, it could be 2 decimal places, 0.77. If that's the case, that's to 2 dp. It could ask for 3 significant figures, 0.766. That'd be 3 significant figures or 3 decimal places, etc. So just make sure you check your rounding on what they ask you to do. Now, we could get a question like this that says to calculate 5 tan 60. Okay, again, all I'm going to type in is 5. I'm going to press tan, and then I'm going to type in 60. Press equals. And that gives me an answer of 8.66 to 2 decimal places. You could type in 5 times tan 60. That would be no problems at all as well. Now, I'm going to put a little asterisk here. For the 5.3 boys, you might get a question that looks like this. Cos 60 degrees and 17 minutes. Okay, this means 60 degrees and 17 minutes. When we look at degrees, they are split up. You can have decimals like 17.5 degrees, but certainly they can be split up into degrees, minutes, and seconds. You might remember back in year 7 when doing time questions that we were able to use that little degrees button, that little bubble button for time. And that's because degrees, minutes, and seconds all relate. Okay, but the same rounding would apply. For example, if you had 60 degrees and 30 minutes, that would be the same as 60.5 degrees. That's because 30 minutes is half of a degree, okay, which is really important, because if I wanted to round that up to the nearest degree, that would of course be 61 degrees. So again, for the 5.3 boys, that becomes a bit more challenging. Now, in this case, this question, I'm going to type in my calculator. I'm going to type in cos 60, but this time I have to press the bubble button. I'm going to type in 17. I have to press the bubble button again to get my answer. So you can see I'm going to do this now. Cos, I'm going to do my 60. I'm going to press the bubble button. I'm going to type in 17. I'm going to press my bubble button. I'm going to press equals. And then we come up with 0.4957 ... okay, to whatever rounding it might be. Okay, the only one I'm going to mention is, and I'll give you some questions to do shortly, would be this one. 5 divided by 10, 60 degrees. Okay, what you'll see, we just type it in. As we can see, you can either use the division button. I quite like divide button instead of the fraction, but I'm going to type in 5 over, and watch what happens when I simply put in 10, 60 and I don't close the brackets. Press equals, it's a math error. He doesn't mind if it's in the numerator. They don't really care at the brackets. They do care about the denominator. So I need to go back and I need to make sure I close off those brackets. And now I can press equals and we get that 2.886 ... whatever it might be for the rounding. So just be careful there. You could in fact do 5 divided by 1060 and not put the other bracket in, and it'll give you the correct answer too. So just be a little bit careful. Again, this is just looking at a bit of your calculations. Next lesson, we'll look at forming that equation and then doing the calculations on top. All right, so I've got quite a few questions here, don't I? You can pause this if you would like to have a crack at it. I've got the asterisk questions because asterisks generally are the 5.3 students only, but 5.2, boys, there's no reason why you can't do that. And next year you can be expected to do it, so why not do it now, okay? But again, pause it, gents, and then we'll come back and we'll see how we went. Good luck. Okay, how did you go, gents? I'm going to go through each one. Okay, so we have 4 questions to begin with. So you can see my calculator. I'm going to type in cos 65. I'm going to press equals. It says 0.42261 ... It says to 3 decimal places. So 423, because the 6 pushes him up to a 3. So 0.423. Sine 45. We get 0.707106, so that would be 0.707. If I go to 1080 now, 1080, I get 5.67128 ... so equals 5.671. Now you might be saying, sir, can I just write the answer out? By all means, go for it. I've got no dramas, you can do that whatsoever. Sine 20 equals, we get 0.342. I'm just going to write the answer at that time myself. So there you go. They're the answers for the first 4 questions. Hopefully you got those correct. The next one, almost the same questions, but I've got a few extra calculations. So I can do 3 times sine 20, or you can just write in 3 sine 20. I press equals, and now we come up with the answer of 1 point, and it wants to 1 decimal place, so 1.0 would be correct for that first one. It's 0.26 ... which of course is this 1.0. You got to put 1.0, you can't put 1. It says to 1 decimal place. The next one is 4, then sine 60. Should be a nice number, not so nice. 3.464 ... so to 1 decimal place, 3.5. Dusted. And the last one, 5 divided by 1040. You can see this time I did the division button, so I don't have to close my brackets. And we get the answer of 5.95876. Oh, I like this one because the 9 is going to be pushed up to a 10. So we get 6.0. Okay, as my answer. And again, if you did it as a fraction, you would have to make sure that you close the brackets off on our denominator. Okay, these are the 5.3 questions. So 5.2, boys, if you can do these, have a great day. 5.3, boys, pretty much the same stuff. Sine, I'm going to do 15, but now I'm going to press my bubble button, and then I'm going to press 32, and I must press the bubble button. If I don't, it will say math error. So I press it twice. I don't really need to close the brackets. To 2 decimal places, 0.27 to 2 dp. The next one, I'm going to do 10. I'm going to do 60, bubble button, 30. Now, I could have just said 60.5. I mean, that would work, right? We'll see that time. I didn't close the brackets, or no, I didn't put my bubble button. There you go. Bubble button, and then equals. So I get 1.77 to 2 dp. Now, I could have just said for that one, 10, 60.5. If I did that conversion in my head, still the same answer of 1.77. That's pretty cool. The next one, we've got 4 times cos, or 4 cos. We've got 60, and then bubble button and 18 and bubble button or degree button equals, and I get 1.98 to DP. Hopefully you got those ones correct. And the last one, I don't need my calculator for these. This is just seeing if you can understand the rounding part. So round to the nearest minute. Now remember, this is in degrees, minutes, and seconds. So I'm rounding the 16 to either 16 or 17. The 8 is below 30 seconds. Above 30 seconds, the minutes will go up. Likewise, above minutes will go up as well for 30. So this will just be 15 degrees and 16 minutes. Job done. The next one, I'm rounding the 18. Well, 51 is above 30. So 30 seconds, okay, is our rounding point. 51 seconds is closer to a minute. Therefore, we have 60 degrees and 19 minutes goes up. And the last one, the 39 minutes, well, the 30 seconds again, 30 and above pushes up. So it'll be 128 degrees, it's an obtuse angle, and it will be 40 minutes, and that's my job done. So again, just a little bit of work on rounding and using your calculator. I hope this kind of made sense. Next lesson, we'll be pushing both these things together. That is identifying what rule for trigonometry to use and then doing some calculations on top of that. I hope this made a bit of sense. It wasn't too overwhelming. Have a crack at the questions, and I'll see you next lesson.